Hello, everybody, and welcome to the semi-centennial episode of Huell's Gold. I'm Alan.
I'm Chris, and don't let them fool you. We just had to look up that word, semi-centennial.
I was going to say bicentennial. Then I realized that's bicentennial man.
The only reason I know bicentennial is because of the quarters from 1976. The bicentennial quarters. I thought they were worth more. Absolutely not.
Yeah, because they stopped having silver, 73?
Bro, that's you. I don't know.
They closed the gold window. I mean, precious metal.
Whew.
Something along those lines. I forget exactly the date.
We have driven droves of listeners away already.
Well, the early 70s were buck wild.
You don't got to tell me.
Inflation and whatnot, so.
No, I don't know. I wasn't born then. On stage, huh? What did you think about this? Like, just name and description alone. Yeah.
I mean, name and description alone, I have no idea. It's so vague.
Yeah.
It's like saying on the road.
True.
It's okay.
It's one of those episodes that when I read, I was like, okay, this could be pretty kind of mundane. But I got to tell you, this is one of these things that, like, it's a slow build toward the crescendo of each segment, 2 big segments. And then it's just like, oh, wow, this is wild. Like, this is cool stuff. But either way, the cold open.
I had to look this up. I'm sorry.
What?
No, that was 64. This is way off.
Okay.
Silver. Sorry for reference. The silver in the coins.
I'm sure all.
I was going to say when I said that it didn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I had to check it out. Correction. There it is.
So the cold open this week. We're at the Hollywood Bowl. Have you been there?
I have.
What'd you see?
I saw 3 bands.
One show?
One show.
Okay.
It was Iron and Wine, Head and the Heart, and Glenn Hansard.
Okay.
Which, don't recommend that Glenn Hansard show in particular.
All right.
It's like he just went to some people that he knew to have a jam session on stage. I said, no, I just want to hear Falling Slowly over and over. So, before you say that,
yeah,
I was talking to Kathleen about this because she was doing something on the couch when I was watching this episode.
Yeah.
And she reminded me, did you ever watch The Last Man on Earth?
The TV show? Yeah, like most of the first season.
Falling Slowly, which is obviously the biggest song Glenn Hansard it's off Once, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's something like that. On the show, you haven't seen it's not going to be funny then, because they just sing it. Tandy and his brother sing it to each other, and it's their song to one another, and they just sing it like out of nowhere. Anyways.
Yeah, this does not sound funny to me, so I must need to watch the show.
I need people to back me up on this because it is hilarious.
You kept telling me about that show the whole, like, for years, and I just, it just falls through the cracks, one of those things. And
yeah, you thought it was Last Man Standing.
No. Like a Last Man Standing match? No.
No, like Tim Allen's.
Oh, that? No. Even worse. No. I had this weird hang-up, which was fake. It wasn't real. That, Last Man on Earth, it better be just him. Will Forte?
Will Forte.
And then, like, 5 minutes in, there's another person. I'm just like, nah, screw
Why you gotta
this.
ruin it for somebody?
Oh, come on, dude. It's old show.
Is it his brother he sings with?
Anyway. Okay, so that's who you saw.
Yeah, who did you see? I mean, how many times have you been there?
I have been there 3 times. Yeah, that sounds right. 3 times. First time, like 11 years ago, I would say, to see Radiohead. And pretty crazy show. Radiohead's wild to see. Second show was John Williams, the conductor who does Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all that.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, he just did all his movie themes.
How was that?
That was killer.
Okay.
Because, that place is kind of set up for an orchestra. Like, that's what the design was. So that was cool. Third one, most recently, with Stephen Vello, the name that we say more than anything on this podcast, or than anyone, we saw Belle and Sebastian. A bucket list band for him.
Yeah.
It was like the 5th time I'd seen him. But I knew, like, this was a big deal for him, so we went.
Yeah, the parking sitch.
Oh, did you do? We could. The parking situation was always a disaster.
Yes.
From what I heard, and the first 2 times I went. Third time I did the park and ride. I think that's what it's called.
Would recommend?
110%.
Okay.
So nice. We just parked in the back of some mall in the valley. There's a bus just sitting there.
Well, how far is it away? How long does it take, I guess? That's better.
15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
But they go, they're all over the LA area. They go pretty far from what I remember. But yeah, you just get off the bus, you go to the show, you come back, you get on your bus, you go back to your car. It could not be easier.
Oh, there's a Hollywood Bowl hack right there.
There you go. Anyway, that's not even where we're... Huell's just hanging out at the Hollywood Bowl for the cold open.
Never to be seen again.
Yeah, just gone. But it kind of sets the stage
Nice.
for this episode. But really, we need to head to the coast, right?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Huell, where are you going?
It's one of the most picturesque communities in Southern California. I mean, when you think of what a beach town is supposed to look like, Laguna Beach is it. And when you drive through town on Highway 1, it's a treat, 'cause you're traveling right beside the beach and the ocean. Now, Laguna has always been known as sort of an artist colony from the very early days. In fact, years ago, back in the early 1900s, locals were putting on all sorts of pageants and plays, parades and festivals, taking advantage of the fact that they had a large arts community. And one of those pageants started back in 1933 in what used to be an undeveloped canyon. Over the years, several different and ever larger stages were built for the pageant, and today it's still going strong. In fact, it's one of the best known and most popular pageants in the country, drawing over 140,000 people during its 7-week summer run.
All righty, Laguna Beach. Have you ever been here?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, I don't think I have, actually. I feel like I probably have. There was one time where I think I went to Laguna Beach, but it was at night, so I have no idea.
I for
Can't say with any
sure
confidence.
absolutely have never been there. I don't even know where it is on the coast. No clue.
This was foreign to me when Huell said that this was an arts community. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just remember the MTV show,
Exactly.
which was your favorite show.
Not even a bit. It's funny, this whole little bit about it being an artist colony really reminds me of an episode of The Office when everyone goes to Gettysburg and Dwight keeps bragging about the Battle of Shroot Farms being the northernmost battle of the Civil War, and they go inside to the museum and they find out that the Battle of Shroot Farms was a cover for all these artists and dandies to put on plays and stuff, because the photos that they show in this episode on stage, I think they pulled some of these for that episode of the show, because it's just like these old black and white pictures of fools doing plays and like being funny. And that's what I'm imagining Laguna Beach was a bunch of artists. Dandies is not the nicest term, so I'm not going to call anyone that, but either way, it seems like they've had a long tradition, because the whole deal that you heard about, the Pageant of the Masters, has been going on for so freaking long. Like 1910s?
Yeah.
To now, like, it straight up just happened a couple months ago, and it's happening again July 7th through the 31st. And, you know, like I said, this kind of starts slow, but at the end, like, I get hyped on this tableau vivant, which is the thing I mentioned last week.
Yeah.
So I looked up tickets, which you can get at foapom.com, FOAPOM, because they do this show like every night for the whole 7 weeks or whatever it is, and they're only like, you can go for as low as $20, which I don't know about you, that sounds like a steal.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't.
You just don't want to go.
No, I do want to go. But this is more visual, so unlike the Hollywood Bowl where you can sit far away and still have an enjoyable
true,
experience, I want to see what's going on.
Well, I looked
on
it up
stage.
on foapom.com, and it looks like a lot, like at least some of the displays are available in that little pavilion that Huell was walking around. So even if you don't go to the show, you get like an up close
Oh, I see.
viewing.
Okay,
But I guess
that's
we
cool.
should like get into how Huell digs into this, because he is, up in the stands with old
DCD, right?
DCD. That's Diane Shally Davy. Yeah. She's the assistant director of the Pageant of the Masters, and I think that she should be a spokesman for Levi Strauss because
bro.
she is slamming on the denim.
Denim Queen.
I put denim all day.
Well, I have a little bit on old Diane.
What do you got?
Old DCD.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, she's still there.
Oh, really?
That's good news, yeah.
That's rare in these earlier episodes.
So she was the assistant director until 1995, and she directed the 1996 pageant herself.
Ooh, okay.
And she was so she's been around this for a really long time.
Yeah.
She was a volunteer in the 70s for the pageant,
Man.
and she was a seamstress in 1980.
That seems to be like kind of the trend of all these people, right? Like as we get into the interviews,
Yeah,
it's
been around for a while.
been around, and people stick with it. But during this whole interview with DCD, it feels like she and Huell are really kind of having to sell this, because Huell's not giving it away what it is. He hasn't shown anything really of it, except that like early photograph of the woman in the frame, the empty frame,
Right, yeah.
which kind of gives a taste of what this becomes. Because tableau vivant, I can't remember if they played it or if they explained it in the clip, but it's just living art. Real life people portraying works of art, both famous and more like locally known, on stage. Like, it's
Which I'm going to
all
be honest.
mediums,
I mean,
too.
just the sound of it, not cool.
I totally agree, because I flipped through this episode last year when we were first starting the show, and I was just like, man, I don't know about this one. But if you watch it like as Huell builds, like, sorry Diane, not the most compelling part of the episode, but it does build, because Huell doesn't just stay in the stands, he goes backstage, which is like where the magic is happening, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, these are where the artists really are.
Yeah, right.
Putting makeup on these children to start, which, when you see this kid,
Yeah.
what's the first thing you think of? What comes to your mind first?
Shoot. I don't know. Just, I have no idea where you're going with this.
Michael Myers,
Okay.
all right?
Because he does have like a stark white face.
A mime,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. Because they're just, they're being made up to look like is it Japanese porcelain sculpture? Chinese. And, porcelain's white, so they're trying to make them very pearlescent in a way, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's good. I like the little mustache, the conquistador white mustache in the background.
Oh, man. And Huell interviews the funniest little boy, because he's like one of these kids that has a really articulate
Yes.
way of speaking.
That's
So
what
it's weird because he's 7 or something?
yeah, and he's going to do it exactly for how many more years?
Like 7.
Like 7 more years.
7 more
yeah.
years. Like, okay, so 14 is your cutoff. All right, kid.
I'm going to just guess that he became a thespian.
Oh, totally. I mean, you don't get into this kind of a thing when you're 5 years old and not like kind of stick with theater in one way, shape, or form.
That's true.
But yeah, the makeup interviews are pretty cool, but kind of run of the mill. But then we get to kind of the staging of this big old thing, and that's where we meet Butch Hill, who is the technical director.
And he is still there.
No way.
Yep, and it's Richard Butch Hill.
Okay, I wanted to bring that up because he has the least likely name for someone who's doing what he's doing. Like,
I think the only Butches that I knew, one was a machinist, and the other one restored old cars.
Well, there was Butch, the like old rockabilly punk dude
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
downtown. R.I.P. Butch. But yeah, he does not look like the name would imply. Like he does. He kind of looks like a normal guy, but
He looks like a rich.
Yeah.
You pick Butch, you know.
Richard Hill.
Yeah.
Went by Rick, maybe. But Huell is really kind of getting into this, and you're really starting to see it when he's asking the people to do their poses, and all of a sudden it kind of looks like a clock. Like the one that we are about to cut to in a second it's a lady on a clock.
Golden Girl. Which I realized I was in the golden theme because the kid, the porcelain Chinese kid, I couldn't stop thinking about the Golden Child, the Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah. Oh man.
So
yeah. But I wanted to cut to a clip of Huell like gushing over this stuff because it's kind of a long clip, and there's actually points where it's just Huell proclaims what a piece is, and then it's like 5 seconds of classical music while you see it. And it's kind of, I want to put it as a teaser, so you will go see this, because I don't know if we're doing it justice this time. I think
this is purely visual.
Yeah. You really should go see this. You could check our Instagram, but for the stills and stuff, but this is like cool. But also, it's one of these rare occasions where you get something that's really not very, what's the word? Kind of hoity-toity in Huell Hauser speaking alongside classical music. And it's such a funny juxtaposition. I really like the sound of it. So let's just hit this. Hit it, Huell.
That is amazing. It was indeed an amazing sight. And after being backstage and getting an idea of how the pageant works, it was time to join the audience out front for a truly unbelievable evening of tableau art, living pictures. There it was on stage, a replica of a Charles X clock. Now look closely and remember the 4 female figures adorning the clock are real. And there was more, 23 different tableaus in all, each lasting only 90 seconds. Paintings like this one by Monet. Sculpture by Remington. And here's the porcelain entitled The Chinese Emperor with the children we met earlier. There were replicas of colorful posters, statues, an Art Nouveau lighting fixture, an ancient Scythian comb, each tableau totally captivating the audience.
Okay. I hope that tickled everyone as much
Listening
as
to
it did
it,
us.
it's so good.
So at 12:57 of the show, and just a few seconds ago, you heard Huell talk about Sculpture by Remington. So I hope that if ever I get to go there is a Remington, because I have a replica Remington in my house. This big old bronze sculpture that it was my grandparents. They passed it on to me.
It's the original one, right?
Not even close. That's the funniest story about that, because, there are a lot of original Remingtons, because with bronzes you can make a bunch of them. It's a mold, and he made a bunch. But the specific one that I have, the story behind it is that it was a special gift to a friend of his, and he wanted to prove that there would only ever be one. So he presented it to his friend and then hammered the mold, just broke it.
Oh.
And be like, proof, I'll never make another one. And there's many copies of it. The real one is at the American West Museum in Wyoming or something. But, yeah. Either way, that was my little connection to it. But what? There's one last thing that Huell says at the end of this, because that clip, as you heard, was pretty long. He does some interviews with people. Which was there anything of note that you caught from these interviews?
Not really, except for the two people at about 13:55.
The Vest sisters.
The Vest sisters,
both wearing vests.
She sort of captured my sentiment when I first saw the performance or the pageant, and that was that I want to volunteer. She says, I want to volunteer. I said, that's exactly how I feel.
It would be fun.
This is amazing.
Either way, the thing that I was going to say that Huell says, because he cuts back to, well, he doesn't cut back to, he brings DCD, old Diane, back in for a quick little wrap up, and he says, these early Laguna citizens were fooling around with this for a long time. It just diminished it so bad. Just saying fooling around to Diane. And she had a smile on her face, though. I think she got it. Anyway, that kind of wraps up in Laguna. Should we head south?
Yeah, why not?
All right, Huell, what do you got?
To visit our next outdoor stage, we went south to San Diego and headed straight for Balboa Park, which is located right near the center of the city. Now, Balboa Park has a rich history, including the fact that back in 1915, it was the site of San Diego's Panama, California Exposition, a 2-year fair that celebrated the completion of the Panama Canal and put the emerging city of San Diego on the map. Now, the exposition attracted lots of people. It was a big deal. And from that time on, the good citizens of San Diego definitely have had an ongoing love affair with the park. In fact, many of those original buildings built for the exposition are still standing. The 1,100-acre park is the home for the San Diego Zoo, the Old Globe Theater, and 10 different museums. It's also the home of a totally unique musical instrument that's located outdoors on a magnificent stage.
All right. Balboa Park. Have you ever been here?
So, I myself have not, but I do have a connection to it.
All right.
Through Kathleen.
All right.
Her grandpa.
Yeah. Which one? Because I always hear about that.
Well, it's technically her actual grandpa died before she was born.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was her, whatever.
But
it was Dominic Augusto.
Okay, because there's like the Italian grandpa, and then on the other side there's
the old Appalachian grandpa.
Yeah.
No, this was
okay.
Dominic. Yeah, this was.
All right.
So he did the masonry for the San Diego Air and Space Museum.
Because
there's a bunch. There's a bunch of museums there.
All right, look at that. That's way more connection than my never having been there and knowing nothing about it.
Well, Kathleen, when we go to San Diego, we always intend to go.
Yeah.
And we never do. And so even watching this, she said, you know what? We need to do San Diego right. We're going next time. Because her family's to go all the time.
Like that?
All the time.
Okay. I've only been to San Diego twice in my life. Both times to go to shows at an outdoor amphitheater, much like Hollywood Bowl. So it's very apropos for this episode, I guess. But I literally go straight to San Diego, straight into the city. I go to the Sleep Train Amphitheater. Sorry, San Diego. Probably my least favorite outdoor amphitheater. Not for any other reason, but because there is one, as far as I know, one road, like a 2-lane road to get in and out of the place. It was a disaster last time I went.
Well, whenever I go, we always go down to Little Italy. Big surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't even know there was one there.
Yeah. We go to Little Italy and we get just Italian desserts.
What, cannolis?
Mainly cannolis. And we always eat at this restaurant. I can't think of the name of it. If it comes to me, I'll bring it back up. But yeah, the 3 times I've been there have always been to Little Italy. And then one time we didn't go direct into Little Italy. We went to Lucha Libre Tacos. Is that right?
That sounds right.
It's a Lucha Libre themed taco place.
Yeah. It's funny. The only place that I remember eating there is also a taco place, but it's owned by the singer of Prayers. You know that?
No.
That Cholo Goth band?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Well, I really don't know if Huell's ever been here because he never says anything about it, and he doesn't seem to be having the greatest time to start off when he's talking to old Vivian Everson. Because it's 110 degrees, and right off the bat, he's like, I got to be in the shade.
Right, just a tiny tree.
So, first off, I didn't know that Balboa Park was built to kind of house a 2-year fair celebrating the Panama Canal. The celebration called Panama California Exposition. It's weird to think about how absolutely amazing of a feat the Panama Canal was. Mm-hmm. Like, when you study it, it's like, oh, wow, they really hacked through the jungle, thousands of people dying of malaria, all that kind of stuff. Created this engineering marvel with the locks and everything that they have. Mm-hmm. And then everyone was so excited that they had a 2-year party. It's crazy. But Huell's definitely not partying today. He's all about the business. The business of
organs?
A big old
organ
freaking
pipes?
organ.
So we got Vivian Evanson.
Yes.
She's the president of the Spreckels Organ Society.
Mm-hmm.
I got to follow up with Vivian here.
What do you
Old
got?
Viv. I got some bad news.
Oh.
October 6th, 2015 in Point Loma. Vivian left us.
Oh, man. How did it happen?
I didn't look that far into it. But apparently, I don't know if this is... I think this is right. She founded a society.
Mm-hmm.
The Spreckels Organ Society.
Yeah.
So a little bit about her. She worked her way through Oregon State University as a typist. Got a business
Oregon
degree.
State or Oregon State?
That'd be so awesome. Could you imagine? She was high up in a loan department at I think U.S. National Bank or some main bank.
So like kind of run of the mill job.
Yeah, and then she just shot on down to San Diego, met her sweetheart, stayed there,
slammed into this organ business.
Slammed into it, yeah.
Because really, this is the beginning of the new segment, and I said these really kind of start slow. Sorry, Viv, you got the brightest, coolest dress of the show by far, but this really is just a big old organ, and I was afraid that like we're gonna have to like build up this thing that's like sort of cool but not worth talking about.
Yeah, I mean on the outside, right? It's one of it's behind a gate first of all, like a drop down door. Really, from their whole interview, I got that the pipes never see the sun. Yeah,
true. And really, like the business really picks up as soon as that big old rolling door opens, because that's when we meet old Lyle Blackington. Could not be a more made up sounding name.
No,
but there he is,
the organ curator himself.
Gosh, and his job is to kind of like tune and repair this gigantic instrument that takes up like the equivalent of like a 3-story office building. Like this is a giant thing.
I got some information about old LB.
You know, I do too. Let's see if we got the same stuff.
Okay. Still there.
Yep.
He San Diego declared February 22nd, 2015 Lyle W. Blackington Day.
No way. I didn't get that. That's
in honor
crazy.
Of his 40 years of curating and 60 years of working on the organ or at the organ.
Well, that earned him the organ curator emeritus status.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because the Spreckels Organ website, which I don't remember what it is, I just searched it, has a listing of all the people that are part of the board of trustees, the current positions of all the people we're talking about. So Viv, good old Lyle, and all that stuff. The acting organ curator is a guy named Dale Sorensen.
Not as cool of a name, but
it's up
okay.
There. Yeah,
go with it.
But really, Lyle is really where this thing picks up because you see some pipes, cool. He says that only 16 of these ones on the facade even work. All right, he's like, let's get in this mother. Let's get in, and it is no joke. They are straight up in the organ.
That's true. But before we get there, let's not forget what Huell says.
What do you say?
When he's talking to Lyle on the outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
first he admits he doesn't know much about pipe organs, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh, true, yeah.
And then he proceeds to ask Lyle, if people were to hear this, would they be in heaven?
I missed that completely.
Oh, what?
And what did he do? He just,
yeah, you would enjoy it, yeah.
Oh.
So
from there.
And then, sorry, this is the last bit.
Uh-huh.
When Lyle's talking about the facade, they both look up, and Huell says, those are some buttes up there.
He's full of...
Dude,
like,
that's at 21:45.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested.
So Huell's full of the sayings this week, and he really does not seem to know what he's getting himself into, because they go inside this thing, and it's like this narrow hallway. They go into the airlock, because to make this giant pipe organ work, there's like a pressurized room that pumps air into it so that these valves can open.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, homeboy starts playing outside, and they're like literally inside a working organ while it's running.
It was crazy. You're right. This is when he opens that door.
Yeah.
And he says, we're going to go into the air chest. You'll hear a swoosh of air. Whoosh. And Huell's face, he looks back.
Like, Louis, we're going in. And in they go. And Huell, he's a trooper. You start to see it almost immediately, just beads of sweat running down his face. And he's like, it was hot outside, but whoo boy. And Lyle's like, yeah, it's like a pressure cooker in here. Because the air like compresses and heats. But Huell never breaks at all. Just straight up doing an interview inside of a real working organ while it's being played. And then he's got to get out. He's got to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where we meet the, what was it? The civic organist.
Yeah, Robert Plimpton.
Gosh, these names, man, these are like some
old-timey names.
Real deal names.
So I got a little bit on the civic organist because I was interested in that job.
Yeah.
Who funds it, first of all?
Because Robert says that he believes he's the only person with this kind of job, probably in the world.
I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
I couldn't really find anything on that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's now emeritus. So he joined old Huell.
Yep.
In emeritus status. I'm going to butcher this name.
I got you. If you
Is it Raul?
Yeah.
Can you give me that middle name?
Prieto
Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
But before him, we had Carol Williams, who was in the position for 15 years.
So she must, like, I'll bet Robert probably took off pretty soon after this.
He probably boned out pretty early.
Yeah. Then we had Carol. Now we got Raul.
But it was a 14-month search after Carol moved to Virginia.
Oh, so they didn't have the weekly Sunday afternoon shows?
They may have had visiting people every so often, but I don't know. I don't know about that. But the salary.
Oh, you got this?
So she was making $72,000 a year. I'm guessing for 15 years, something. Well, they probably went to desperation mode because, over a year searching.
Yeah.
And they got Raul Ramirez, which there was a picture from him in Barcelona. When I don't know if he's from Barcelona or they had to search the whole world. I think it was an international search, so this is a big deal.
It must be the same picture that's on the Spreckels Organ website, because that's where that was where I was getting my information.
I feel like he's a good negotiator because he got $6,600 more dollars. I mean,
Ooh,
he's
look
at
at that.
$78,600. So, $50,000 is paid by the Spreckels Organ Society, and the rest by the city of San Diego.
Okay.
So the majority is the
society.
The society's
itself.
paying them. Yeah,
That's cool. Well, so first off, I have a weird little tie-in to organs, because the year I lived in San Francisco, I lived maybe like 5 blocks away from old St. Mary's Cathedral, and I went with my friend Regina to an organ recital, because they have a huge pipe organ inside that cathedral there, and I don't think we knew what we were getting ourselves into, because there were like 15 people there, and we were like younger than them by numerous decades. And at about 35, 45 minutes, we realized, like, oh, wow, this is no joke. How do we get out of here? And thankfully, someone else had the same idea. So they started to slink out, and we just followed them out. Because Cool is a free organ recital, and you never get to hear something as crazy as a large pipe organ. Well, at least unless you live in San Diego, apparently. But it is impressive.
Well, I've actually heard an organ recital as well.
Really?
At the Washington National Cathedral.
What? And you're just now telling me?
When I went out to, last year? Or this year? D.C.? I had a friend. He showed me around. So, by the way, Ryan, thank you for that.
Yeah,
he showed me around. Took me to all the cool places. Went to Georgetown.
Oh, this trip. Yeah.
We went to, I think I might have Marco Polo'd you on it. Maybe. But
I didn't have that app then.
Well, maybe not then. Maybe it's just sitting there waiting for you to add the app.
Yeah.
But we went and there was a recital. Sounded divine, obviously.
Right.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Comet Ping Pong Pizza.
Oh, yeah. You did text me about that one. Oh, man. Conspiracy theories abound.
Oh, it was so fun. So, yeah.
Well,
so I have heard it. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I do think that these big organs is something that definitely didn't start in America, but it seems very American, what with like them being kind of the sound of baseball too. Like that's what I associate kind of organ music with nowadays, is that kind of a thing. And it's funny because the way this episode ends is with old Robert playing America the Beautiful. And I'm going to play it here just real quick. And then I don't think we have enough wrestling tie-ins compared to our normal episodes, so I'll tell you a little bit after the clip. So here you go.
How about America the Beautiful?
That's great.
Okay, yeah, so a long clip of a song everyone's heard a million times, just so I can have the excuse of saying that America the Beautiful, for some reason, was the song that Vince McMahon chose to begin every WrestleMania. He thought that it sounded better than Star Spangled Banner. So, if any of you ever watch an old or a new WrestleMania, you're going to hear it.
Who knew?
Who knew? Well, me.
Well, you knew.
For years, yeah. And when I went to WrestleMania, I did hear it. And I think it was someone from American Idol or something that sang it. It's cool, I guess.
That's cool.
I was more disappointed that the host of that year's WrestleMania was LL Cool J. But Homeboy didn't even show up. He just had a video clip playing on the big Megatron there.
Come on.
Majorly disappointed.
Come on, LL.
Ladies loathe Cool James that night. Either way, this was quite a surprising episode. I really thought this was going to be a real sucky episode.
That's fair, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that.
But they can't all be winners, and they all have at least a little nugget in there. Not Owen Hart, but
this one picked up. So it
yeah.
had a high point when you saw the porcelain kid.
Totally.
But, and then what was the other one? Oh, when we met old Lyle, when we went inside the air chamber, the pressurized room. That was cool.
So that kind of wraps it up for this week. And
Well, on the outro, can we talk about the outro real quick? You see Huell's face? He's like a proud dad.
Oh,
when
when
old Plimpton's playing.
Yeah, while he stands next to a girl with a nice Garfield shirt.
That's
man.
good. So where are we going next week?
Well, it's actually our season finale next week.
All right, it's the last one we're doing, right?
Forever, JK.
Maybe.
Well, because the one after that, the season premiere of next, like that, it's a slammer.
We at least have to do that one.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, next week, episode 512, Keeping Cool, which Huell is always cool. I don't know why he had to keep being cool. He couldn't stop.
He just was, yeah.
He means temperature, though. So Huell is keeping cool over in hot Coachella Valley when he visits Old Desert Submarine of Indio. Whatever the heck that means. Yeah, it's funny because in Louis' book he says this was one visit among many to the desert he loved and where he lived later in his life. Which is true. He did have homes in Palm Springs.
He really did like the desert. I
He's
mean,
a
maybe
desert boy.
Yeah, he is. I feel like I would be too, though.
You and Kathleen both have this draw to the desert.
Just desert, yeah.
Yeah, you both like
I
Palm
still
Springs.
like civilization, but I also like
true.
the desert. I like both. So
Yeah,
Palm
yeah.
Springs is a cool.
Plus, Kathleen with Joshua Tree, this trip that she's perpetually trying to plan that just keeps not happening. As much as we all want to go, it just
It'll work out
one day. Either way, we're keeping cool. Huell's in the pool. He ain't no fool.
Nor is he a tool.
Either way, we hope that you come along with us next week and every week as we continue our search for Huell's Gold.